Hey everyone, my name is Matthys Boshoff. I'm a writer, director, producer from Johannesburg, but I'm dialing in from Singapore. Like most of you, I got into film because I wanted to make movies, and I wanted to make movies that will travel, that will be seen around the world. I started off in the industry in 2002 as an art department assistant, worked on international films for a couple of years, eventually got a gap to AD a commercial. That led to directing commercials, starting my own production company, focusing on commercials, producing. But a couple of years ago, I really got to a place where it was a fork in the road, and I felt I needed to get back to the passion and the heart that got me into the industry, and that, again, is to focus on narrative storytelling that will travel. So in 2016, I made a short film called Vlees vir my Vlees, which did really well. It traveled to a lot of festivals, played at Clermont-Ferrand, and then in 2018, I got the opportunity to direct my first feature film, Die Verhaal van Racheltjie, and the international title being Children of the Storm. So I got to that point. I made my film, and the big question was, what now? Now, before I get into the detail, I want to tell you the story of oranges. Now, the story of oranges is actually quite simple. You've got a person or a farmer who's got seed, plants it in the ground, he's going to water it, a tree is going to grow, he's going to look after that tree. Eventually that tree is going to bear fruit, and when the fruit is ripe and ready, he's going to pick it, and then what he wants to do is he wants to find a way to get this to a market. He might get someone else with a big truck, or a company who's got connections at the market, and they're going to load all the oranges onto a truck and take it to the market. Or he might just take his own bakkie and load it with oranges, and off he goes to the market. At this market, a lot of other oranges are sold, a lot of vegetables, fresh produce of all kinds, and different buyers are going to come. What they're going to do is they're going to buy it, and then they're going to package it, they're going to give it some branding, they're going to put a price point on it, they're going to put it into a supermarket or a store where individuals like you and I, consumers, can come past, and hopefully they're going to buy it, take it home, and really enjoy these oranges. So the story of film is actually very similar to the story of oranges. You start off, you've got a script, an idea that you put in the ground, and then you start working on it, and you're going to grow this thing until it becomes a tree. You eventually shoot a movie, edit it, finesse it, get it ready, and then it's going to go to the market. Now, you're probably going to get a sales agent. I'll get into that a little bit later. Or you might actually drive your movie to the market yourself. Thousands of people from all over the world are selling their films, and eventually distributors and buyers are going to come, and they're going to buy this film, and they want to put it on TV screens or on theaters around the world, but they're going to package it, put it in a place where consumers can find it, and hopefully people are going to take it home, and like a really good orange, they're going to enjoy it, share it with their friends, and tell other people to watch your film too. In South Africa, there are a handful of distributors. We don't typically use sales agents for local sales, even although AAA actually acts as a sales agent. But indigenous film distribution, you've got Filmfinity and AAA Entertainment, are people who will come and take your film, and they're going to put it on screen at Ster-Kinekor or New Metro, or even some independent theaters. After that kind of first window of theatrical, your film will go to video on demand. That's where you pay per view, you pay per stream, and then you're going to head down to the streamers. So one's got Showmax in South Africa and for Africa, and you've got Netflix as well, and eventually it's going to end up on broadcast with Mnet, SABC, ETV, or other channels. You want to talk to these people before you make your film. Netflix might be interested to fund it, or what a lot of people do is they do a pre-sale. And what that means is you sell your film before you make it, and you use that money to make your film. Same with the channels, and you definitely want to chat to the distributors, because they might have some ideas, they might have some feedback for your script, and also tell you how marketable your film is. If you look at a film like Moffie, which I definitely would recommend everyone watch, it's an incredible film, is they decided to self-distribute in South Africa. They got a whole team together to market the film, to book placements with Ster-Kinekor and with New Metro screens and the independent theaters. And then they did what very few people locally have done, is they set up their own streaming site, which is at moffifilm.com, where you can watch this film. I really recommend you guys to watch it. It's a very, very well made film. But when we start talking about international and getting your film to travel, plan A is to get into an A-list festival. Festivals like Cannes, where a film like Marty Diop's Atlantiques played, Berlinale, Jenna Bass's Flatland played there. We've got Sundance, where The Wound played, This Is Not a Burial, It's a Resurrection, also played there. That also played at Venice, of course. Toronto, where Knuckle City played. Tribeca, South by Southwest, where Nosipo Dumiso's Number 37 played. And then you've got a few other festivals that are breaking into the A-list category, like Cairo, Carlo Vivari, Italian Black Nights, Busan, Moscow International Film Festival. If your film manages to play at these festivals, you're going to have people called sales agents that will approach you, and they're going to make offers to represent your film, to be able to take that into the markets where buyers come past and distributors come past, where they buy the film. Now, there are a bunch of markets worldwide, and this is obviously not an exclusive list, but the big ones are the American film market, the European film market, Ventana Sur in South America, Marché du Film, which is connected to Cannes Film Festival, the Hong Kong International Film and TV market, Asian film market, which is part of the Busan International Film Festival.
I'm here at the EFM at the Berlinale. It's the first major film market of the year. There are over 10,000 people gathered here to buy and sell film and television series, including 1,600 buyers. But the biggest and most important are keeping a low profile.
If you look at Sundance Film Festival 2020, it had around about 4,000 feature film entries. Only 120 feature films were selected, and that makes it only about 3% of films entered shown at Sundance. So that's a very small percentage that sales agents are going to see at any festival. We did not get into one of the A-list festivals, and for us, our plan B meant that if the mountain doesn't come to us, we've got to go to the mountain. So we decided we are going to go to the sales agents, and we emailed our screener to more than 70 sales agents. What do you need to consider when you approach a sales agent with your film? You need to know your film. You need to know your film's strengths and limitations. You need to understand how marketable your film is. Is it very art house, or is it genre based? What genre is it? If you're going to send it to a sales agent, you're going to have to do research on what kind of films the sales agents like to sell. You need to know your audience, because a certain sales agent is going to try and tap into a certain audience. Do research, look at what other films are on their sales agents' books, what kind of films they like to tell, what kind of genres they're into, and what is their wish list. You know, some sales agents won't touch you unless you had a premiere at an A-list festival. Some, if you had a premiere, will say it's too late, we want it to be on board earlier. When you have an offer with a sales agent, you've got to look them up online. One of the offers we had came from a company with a really bad rep. So research a reputation. You can ask them for references and then contact those filmmakers. You've got to look at what other kind of films they represent. Are those films that relate to the kind of themes your film's telling? Are there similarities? Do they have experience in selling foreign language films, or are they only experienced at selling English films? We also looked at the size of the catalogue. Because our film didn't have star names and it didn't have a big reception at an A-list festival, we didn't have that outside buzz to tap into. So if we're going to be part of a catalogue of 150 films and our film is number 70, it's only going to get so much attention. So you want to look at the size of the catalogue. If it's a boutique company and they only take on 20 films a year or 15, you know that they're going to give you love and attention and really push your film. How enthusiastic are they about your film? Do they show real passion? See if they understand your themes, if they buy into your vision of your film. And then also, what kind of initiative do they take? So we had 2 really good proposals, but they also took a lot of initiative. They made an offer, put forward a whole proposal about how they're going to get it to markets, what they want to do to try and draw attention. But then they also started pitching to us different titles for our film that would work in the international space. And we were quite impressed that out of their own, they took initiative in their pitch. It wasn't just a stock standard template. They really went the extra mile. So we knew that we're sitting with a company that's got the passion, that's going to try and sell a film. You can also ask them for sales estimates But one's got to ask a question about how reliable those are. In the current marketplace, especially for foreign language films, it's very difficult for people to estimate. What is the company's strategy for your film specifically? And you can very quickly see if they sent you an offer with a strategy that's just a copy-paste of what they do for every other film. If they put in the effort, they will make it unique to your film. A worthwhile question to ask them is whether they will handle festivals for you. And then one's got to start talking money. So a sales agent is not going to give you money up front. They're going to give you a contract. They're going to have to spend a whole lot of money to get your film to the markets. So even if you already have a poster, they're going to do their own poster. There's a whole lot of work that goes into it, and you want to know what their recoupables are. How much do they need to recoup before you start making money? So you've got to ask the questions. If it's too high, you've got to ask why is the P&A so high, and you've got to push to negotiate it lower. One can get below $20,000 recoupable. Are they open to negotiate? That's a very clear sign if they're really interested and really keen on your film. You've got to ask about the producer's corridor. When do you get in on the revenue? Always try to negotiate a first dollar deal. So what a first dollar deal means, if I'm your sales agent, you don't start making money once I've recouped all my expenses. You start making money from the first dollar that I get in on the film. And when we get to the point where I've recouped my costs, those P&A costs, then you push for a different split where the producer gets more, and I think it's realistic to try and push for a 20-80 split. It's also very important afterwards to keep your fingers on the tab. You ask for a report after every market they attended. Make sure that they get your okay before they make a sale. And thirdly, it's worthwhile to appoint a collection agent. They follow the sales, and the money from the sales come to their account, and they then distribute the money to the sales agent and to you. Then lastly, what is the term of the deal? Be cautious of contracts that stipulate in perpetuity, which means forever. 7 years should be enough for a sales agent to exploit your film and to sell it. Okay, and that brings us to the end of the talk. The good news I want to share with you guys is that our film, Die Verhaal van Racheltjie de Beer, aka Children of the Storm, actually recently signed for North American distribution, and we also signed a deal for Latin American distribution. We've got a few other territories up in negotiation at the moment, so I'm really stoked that the film's getting out there, it's getting an audience, and it's getting a life beyond South Africa. I know it's a mouthful that I shared today. It might not sound like the most exciting topic, but it's something that you've got to know if you're a filmmaker. You need to know how you're going to get your film out there. Best of luck, guys. I think the opportunities are amazing. Right now, there are more platforms for your film to be shown than ever before. There are new streamers opening up. Disney Plus is launching. You've got Amazon already. You've got Hulu. You've got Netflix. You've got Showmaxes, and more are launching. HBO Max is coming to us. There are many opportunities. So keep making your movies. Keep pushing. Love your art.